Today on 10 Minutes, we'll be taking a look at sustainability in the workplace and how a company can achieve zero waste output. This look will be tailored around a company known as Interface and how the founder and chairman, Ray Anderson, has been able to promote and sustain a green company, all by achieving real sustainability. Ray Anderson, author of the book Business Leaders from a Radical Industrialist, writes about how a figurative mountain named Mount Sustainability. In the segment, Steve Croft will be interviewing Mr. Anderson about the first two phases of the daunting climb of Mount Sustainability. Mr. Anderson, thank you for joining Steve Croft and 10 Minutes again. How was your trip to Jamaica?
Good afternoon, Steve Croft. My trip to Jamaica was wonderful. I stayed in the sun too much, but let's not talk about that. Let's talk about Interface and how we created a sustainable company.
Yes, we're very interested to know how your company was able to achieve real sustainability. Can you describe to us the steps you took to make this possible?
Well, first we had to actually identify what waste was. We came up with the definition that waste is anything that does not add value, we will say, into the product that we are giving to our customers. So by figuring out what was excess from the product, we were able to cut down in light of tackling waste as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So by eliminating waste from our general operations, we were able to increase our cash flow and save money because of that. And
you discussed how to define waste and to measure it. Can you tell us how you went about doing that with Interface?
In Interface, what we did, we outlined four key points of how to standardize the measure of waste. And the first step is to define waste and apply that definition across the board in a company. The second one is to set up a procedure to measure the waste accurately and fairly. And once we have done that, the third point is to set a baseline to establish yearly goals that we will make challenging and yet fair at the same time. And then the fourth step is to plot the progress. And that's just for everybody to see it in the company, so we all will be encouraged by the progress or lack of progress that we're making year to year.
Mr. Anderson, you just discussed with us how your company Interface defined waste and how they measured it. Can you give us concrete examples of how you were able to do that at the Interface factories?
Well, Mr. Croft, one example is our carpet feeding machines and how we've made them more efficient to stretch out the yarn within the carpet tile, which is allowing us to reduce the waste that we create by cutting off the excess yarn from the carpet tile. Another way that we are reducing our waste is we generate power on site, which allows us to use more green power from other local utilities when it's offered. And really, everyone in our European interface office and plant runs off of 100% green power. And also, we invest in off-site renewables to green our energy mix by purchasing renewable energy credits, and which are also abbreviated to be RECs. And from these RECs, they are essentially tradable certificates that represent a subsidy for our current amount of energy that we're using, which is non-renewable. And from these RECs, we're creating more renewable energy that can be pushed out to other off-site, transportations and stuff like that, reducing our waste as a company as a whole.
Mr. Anderson, you talk about the role of leadership at Interface and their impact on acquiring zero waste. Can you discuss how they go about doing that?
I'm glad you asked that question, Mr. Croft. Leadership plays an important role. First, it establishes a vision. Without a vision, it's proven that most plans fail without the vision, without the mission being set forth by a leader or an authoritative type within the company or group. The second will be set an example. If I, as Ray Anderson, were to throw away yarn just because it rolled on the floor, then what type of example is that showing that we should eliminate the amount of waste that we produce? And then lastly, as a leader, my goal and my mission was to motivate and maintain employees in the active search for how we can eliminate the waste within our company and truly determine goals on each operational level in the organization.
Mr. Anderson, as you told us, leaders have a very important role at Interface for achieving zero waste. Tell us the importance and the impact that the employees have at achieving zero waste.
Yes, a model that I stand by is everyone's fight, and everyone has a role to play in tackling waste within a company and organization. A team that was created within our organization headed who is led by Bobby Hay is called Quest, and it stands for Quality Utilizing Employee Suggestions and Teamwork. And what they do is they measure reductions in waste to sell to Wall Street so we can keep on having the financial backing because our metrics are our reputation, and if we fudge just a little bit or exaggerate on our measurements, then it can unravel all the good that we have done in our community and the manufacturing business as a whole. And what Buddy actually did for us was establish the right way to measure waste and per unit per output. And he created a baseline figure for every facility. And at Interface, we challenge our Quest teams to cut the baseline waste by 10% each and every year. And that's for each plant that we have nationally and internationally. And what Interface does, we just provide organization for the team's performance results, mainly. And to summarize how employees just really fuel our initiative for eliminating waste is we measure it on a macro basis but manage it on a micro. And what that means is that we look at the total picture of our supply chain and how we can eliminate waste within every piece, but we also give it back to our employees saying, how can you as an employee eliminate the waste in your specific job area? And Maria Cabellas, one of our employees in our Southern California plant at Interface, just thought of a simple task of repositioning the bottom cone in our yarn and how we transported them to certain places in our plants. And then Lena Marshall at our West Point plant, she took the initiative to incorporate waste elimination within your personal life by spearheading our carpooling to give initiatives to our employees for eliminating the waste within our personal lives, which allows the company and the individual to eliminate greenhouse emissions, which is very noble of all our employees. And as a leader, I just take pride in our employees and how I guess vigorous they go against waste and how much they have actually contributed back to the company as a whole.
The next chapter, which we entitled Smokestacks and Other Relics, you introduced the second phase of Mounts of Sustainability. Can you tell us what that entails?
Well, what it entails with climbing the second phase of Mount Sustainability, it requires tremendous courage to face what we sometimes can't even see, the pollutants that go up our smokestacks. And in order to bring balance to two interrelated global systems, the technosphere, which mainly is the industry and how it dominates our society, and then the biosphere, which consists of many natural systems that support all life on Earth, including us. And in this chapter, we look closer to sustainability, which we describe as the continued healthy balance of coexistence of the technosphere and the biosphere for the I would say the indefinite future.
So you just described to us the importance of reducing pollutants that entered the atmosphere. How did you guys go about that Interface?
So at Interface, we have a very ambitious goal and plan that we have set out in a strategy. Our strategy is to eliminate all harmful releases by 2020. And also to operate profitably in our factories, and that do not. And by saying that, what we actually mean is to really eliminate the use of our smokestacks and affluent pipes, and that way we're not generating any hazardous waste of any kind at any point in our production and in our value chain. And then the way that we're going about this, what I would say, it requires two types of gear. We put in place the conservation law, which states that matter and matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed, and then the entropy law, which reminds us that matter and energy tends to disperse over time.
So you described the conversation law and the entropy law. What does that really mean?
What that means is that we know and we believe that when we use something or burn something, say gasoline, diesel, coal, electricity, raw materials, or even wood in the fireplace, that it does not actually go away, even if we no longer see it. And that contributes to our greenhouse gas emissions, and also how we measure the waste that we are producing from our production line.
That all sounds very technical, but very ingenious. Did your company come up with any other programs or that was able to contribute to limiting pollutants?
Yes, we did. At Interface, we would say we have a lot of programs and teams, but a very important team that we created was the Toxic Chemical Elimination Team. It's a mouthful, but it really helped our fight to eliminating smokestacks in our affluent pipes as a community, as a company, and in a community. And what that team did, the goal was to work with our upstream suppliers to eliminate all ecological damaging chemicals from our facilities. And this team's goal was also to take eliminating waste a step further, because there's a list of chemicals that are damaging to the environment that we should strive to reduce in manufacturing, but there's also many other chemicals which can be combined in the SARA 313 chemicals list, and that are also damaging to our environment, that are legal. And Rachel Carson, she quotes that because a lot of illegal pollution accumulates and concentrates in our food chain, we are constantly incorporating chemicals within everything that our children are eating, and then it will continue just to manifest within our environment, both economically and environmentally. And then with this team, their objective was to, you would say, just to make sure that the facilities, no matter where they were located or how lenient the regulations were towards environmental laws, that they were the cream of the crop, and saying that they were doing more than just their peer in a manufacturing industry, that they were going above and beyond with everything that they were producing, more so eliminating the waste, which increased the profit, because the less we wasted, the more our cash flows were, the stronger they were. And that team also, he would say, defined that the end of the pipe solutions that many manufacturing companies implement in their operations, like filtration and scrubbing devices, are not very sustainable. They're just necessary and temporary bridges to better long-term solutions. And that's what we believe as a company.
Lastly, we'd like to discuss what you described as the life cycle assessment. Can you describe to us what that all entails?
What that entails is the process by which we track our individual product or chemical to how it actually impacts the environment, and track it back. So in regards to tracking it, we track it back all the way towards origin, seeing is it coming from a supplier? Are we incurring this hazardous chemical in our own manufacturing processes, and then trying to eliminate that. And mainly LCA, which is an acronym for life cycle assessment, is just to illuminate the environmental impact of a product from its birth as a raw material to the end life as a disposable or recyclable material. And really, this measurement and this assessment allows us to figure out which chemical or product that we're using is better. If we are at a roadblock of deciding between two um, equally compatible resources, we're able to see which one is actually better from the start and from the finish, and having our children's future at mind at all steps of the process.
Rich and compelling.
Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you, Mr. Anderson, for joining us on 10 Minutes and sharing with us your ideas on how a company can achieve zero waste, the steps you guys took to make that happen. Join us next week as we will have Albert Einstein.